Wolves, Blade Master here, back with some more Total War Rome 2 online action. And I'm going to be playing Massilia in this game. This is going to be the third or fourth battle that I've played in patch 16. And I've taken Massilia in this game, and I'm fighting in quick battle against someone who's taken Rome. We're fighting in the map of Anthea, which is just a absolutely dog shit map. One player starts with the huge hill advantage, and you start over here, or the other player starts over here. So what is the point of this map? Like, anyone who has half a brain is just going to spend unnecessary time moving his entire army to one corner of the map, like I have done here, just in this desperate bid to to gain some sort of a fair battleground, while the other person who just has this unfair advantage right from the start of the game, he'd be pressed moving forward and trying to intercept you. But the point is, it's just not a fair map at all, and should be immediately removed from quick battle presets without a doubt. Like, this is one of the most unfair maps that I've seen since that other dog shit map, the BAM Citadel map, which was just so horribly unbalanced. I remember that map. Oh god. I think it was BAM Citadel, or it was one of the other desert maps that was just so bad. Like, what were they thinking putting that map in? Anyways, with Massilia, I've taken a couple of Massilian hoplites. These are very good hoplites. They cost around 980 or 950 talents, and for that you get a pretty decent, solid unit overall. Their health at 65 is on par with the most elite tier spear units in the game, and besides that, their melee defense is okay, melee attack is decent, weapon damage is also very nice. Their weapon damage is actually the same as elite tier spear units. I'm not sure about the armor piercing though. Let's see if I can try and take a look at it. Massilian cavalry, nah. Anyways, I've taken a couple of them in the center. I've brought 4 thorax swordsmen on either flank, a total of 4 Massilian Thoreas hoplites, Massilian Thoreas spears, 3 axe warriors on the flanks and 1 Celtic warrior on the flank, and finally 6 Massilian cavalry. Now, I wanted to test these Massilian cavalry because they look very nice. The stats actually make them look very nice. Melee attack at 40, compare them to, and these units cost 500, compare them to Equites, or these are auxiliary cavalry. They have the same melee attack as auxiliary cavalry, same weapon damage, same bonus versus large. Their charge bonus is as good as auxiliary cavalry, but their armor is just terrible. So they have very poor armor. And coming back to the action here, I'm just going to straight up charge his infantry line. He's brought a mix of legionary cohorts and a couple of Evocari cohorts, and that's basically it. He's brought 2 Triarii, one of whom I've engaged early on with my thorax swordsman, so that's going to be a huge boost for me. And that's only because those are his main spear troops, and those are his only spear troops. So as long as I've got them engaged, my Massilian cavalry will be able to rear charge his line, and his rear is pretty vulnerable. He's got his general over here and 1 auxiliary cav that I'm about to rear charge. I charged his auxiliary cavalry initially and pulled back with my Massilian cavalry, and that dealt 7 casualties for them. And here I'm going to get a pretty nice charge on his general and bodyguard unit. And the reason why I like these Massilian cavalry is because they have a 15 bonus versus large along with a 36 charge bonus, which makes them very good anti-cavalry melee cavalry. So very specialized, I think, in their anti-cav role. But let's see if my predictions are right. I've got a rear charge on these auxiliary cavalry, got 4 kills right off the charge. These Massilian cavalry though, they got a straight charge onto his general bodyguard unit and lost 5 units in the process. Now, I don't mind them losing a lot of units because at the end of the day, they are very cheap units at 500. So on the lower tier of or lower end of mid tier units. Anyways, coming back to the game, my Massilian Thorea spears are going to be getting flank shots on his Evocari cohorts. I just set an attack order on them, and meanwhile I've engaged his axe warrior, his Triarii with my axe warriors, just making this huge blob just across the game or across the map, and just leaving a couple of holes so that my Massilian cavalry can penetrate and kill off his auxiliary Syrian archers, who could be quite devastating. Although Massilian troops, even though they are less armored than other Hellenic and Greek factions, they still have pretty decent armor. There, I ganged up and destroyed his auxiliary cavalry, but in the process, a lot of my Massilian cavalry died. These guys have very nice base morale though. 55 base morale is quite nice for a unit that only costs 500. And here they're going to get a nice, sweet charge on these auxiliary Syrian archers. I wish I was able to turn on my graphical mods for this because it would have looked a lot better, but the problem is Since it's patch 16, I'm not sure. I don't want to create any decents by putting any mods on, because obviously the modders wouldn't have had time to update their mods. 16 kills of Syrian archers on the chart, so that's not really nice. That's actually pretty underwhelming, considering that these units have got good melee attack stats along with a very devastating charge on paper. They are light cavalry, so they will be very vulnerable to enemy shock cav. These avocado cohorts are getting shot in the rear by Massilia and Thuria spears. A couple of them are just blasting them, and they have rear charged my thorax swordsman. Meanwhile, my Massilian Hoplites general has done really well. 73 kills on Hastati though, and they're just about to rout them, and they better rout them within the next second, because they're about to get rear charged by legionary cohorts. I remember rear charging these legionary cohorts with my Massilian Hoplites. Oh, that's weird. I think, yeah, this maybe because I clearly remember I rear charged. I got a clean charge, a counter charge on these legionary cohorts. So maybe this battle without any mods has desynced by maybe like a half second or a second or so. Not sure. Anyways, his Triarii, he's used them as this is a very smart move. He used them as a screen, so I couldn't use the huge numbers in cavalry that I had to get rear charges on his units. But now I've engaged it with an axe warrior, so I should have enough opportunities to rear charge the rest of his troops. My Massilian cavalry here has got only 32 kills, and even though it's been engaged with auxiliary Syrian archers and legatus or general and bodyguard unit, it's still not been able to get many kills. I'm going to rear charge this eagle cohort though, and let's see how many kills it gets. They haven't dropped at all. But yeah, actually now the Massilian cavalry are getting a good number of kills on very well armored units and high defense units, so that's good. And my axe warrior should obviously deal a good deal of damage to these Triarii. The same goes over here. And now that I managed to catch his auxiliary Syrian archers, my thorax swordsmen can get in and get in on the action. My Massilian Hoplites general has done well, but my other Massilian Hoplites unit got routed really early on in the game. I think that was more of a problem of just the game mechanics. It probably didn't move into Hoplite phalanx right, even because I issued attack orders. These eagle cohorts should definitely rout now, because and they're starting to waver good, because two pretty devastating charges. Again, 36 charge bonus is very nice for a cheap unit, and that's going to be enough to rout those eagle cohorts. So far 31 kills, 30 kills, 45 kills, and 78 kills on my Massilian cavalry in total, and a couple of them have routed. So a total of 6 cavalry were brought, and 4 of them are still remaining, and those 4 have done okay. They're definitely not some sort of overpowered MVP elite tier unit or mid tier unit. I would say they are decently cost effective, but they definitely, obviously with their cheap cost comes a good deal of or good number of weaknesses, including terrible armor, which makes them very susceptible to archer fire and any missile and skirmish fire. Light mass, which means that they'll be very susceptible to shock charges. So I think they're very good in a traditional light cav role, but they'll be much more useful than other light cav in fulfilling that role, because that good bonus versus large makes them very nice. If they can get a clean charge on enemy melee cavalry, they can actually be very useful, I think. And if they can get into skirmishers from the flanks or from the rear, they can be very good. They can be pretty decent. You saw that they got a pretty clean charge on those auxiliary Syrian archers, but still didn't get many kills. So I think they're kind of limited, but all in all, I think they're a decent unit to bring. 89 kills on and 91 kills, 92 kills on Roman infantry. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, I think. So yeah, that was a costly victory against a pretty nice build, pretty nice Roman build, and a Roman build that had a decent hill advantage over me. So I think all in all, Massilia is an okay faction. In terms of the new factions that have been put out, I think Colchis and Pergamon, and I think all 3 of the paid DLC factions are better than Massilia, truth be told, because Colchis has those spearmen which are just, oh my god, like how much more OP can you get for like 950 talents? They got, well, okay, let's take a look at the stats and then I'll go to that unit screen. 164 kills on my Massilian Hoplites general, which is good. 90 kills, 95 kills, 54, 31. So just decent stats on my Massilian cavalry. Axe warriors did decently. I mean, they're obviously a very reliable unit. Celtic warriors didn't do as well. Some Massilian Thuria spears basically won me the game by getting rear shots on those avocado cohorts. And thorax swordsmen they did just about as you would expect. His legionary cohorts obviously outclassed my thorax swordsmen, and got a lot of kills. So did his Avocatis. But I managed to kill off his auxiliary Syrian archers pretty quickly, but his Balearic Slingers did get a lot of kills. Now let's go to custom battle. And so this is what I was talking to you guys about regarding Colchis. 980 talents on these Colchian nobles, 34 melee attack, 38 weapon damage, 15 bonus versus large, all very decent. But here is the kicker: 105 armor on a unit that costs 980 talents with a health of 65, base morale 70, expert charge defense, hoplite wall, and courage, all that amazing stuff. 64 melee defense, by the way, is quite high. So let's compare that with Massilia, and these guys cost 920. 90 armor, huge difference. They do not have expert charge defense. Again, huge deal. They have 65 base morale in comparison to 70 base morale, lower melee defense, and yeah, basically the other stats are basically the same. So that's why I think Colchis has got a huge advantage just in terms of those Colchian nobles. They've got Eastern archers, whom we all know are very cost effective. They've got noble blood calves, some of the most cost effective melee cavalry in the game. They've got access to horse archers, which is obviously huge. Cardly axemen are decent. Regular axemen are also very nice. They've also got access to Eastern spearmen, which are very nice, versatile, cheap infantry that you always need to have a place for in your army. So Colchis is definitely better than Massilia, I would say. Chimeria, slightly, I think they're also definitely better, but it is not as much of a whitewash as in the case of Colchis. They have access to much better horse archers, but they do not have very good melee cavalry. Citizen cavalry are not great, and the shock cavalry, if anyone brings step lances, they're just shooting themselves in the dick. No, they aren't even shooting themselves in the foot. They're shooting themselves in the dick by bringing some units that are as shit as step lancers. But they do have very nice missile infantry and much better access to much better missile infantry than Massilia. Their spear infantry, Chimerian noble infantry, just even though they cost more, they are definitely a very good unit. Lower armor, but besides that, expert charge defense, all that good stuff, good melee defense, and very nice melee attack stats. They've got these step spearmen, which are just brilliant, I think. I mean, I haven't used them yet, but 30 bonus versus large is great. And the fact that they've got square formation, man, I think that would make them really good. Melee infantry, young axes are just shit, but I think because they have access to pick peltas, whom I rate really, really highly at the moment, I think Chimeria also outclasses Massilia. And the final one, which is Pergamon, they have access to Galatian swords, which are decent. Of course, any barbarian sword unit is always good. And while these Galatian swords won't get you many kills, I think they're better than Celtic warriors. Agema spears are okay. They aren't anything to write home about. Honestly, I wouldn't bring them because their health at 55 is not great at all. But they've got access to hoplites, they've got access to Thuria spears, which are going to be the mainstay of your spear army, and they've got access to Galatian spears, which actually gives them a pretty big advantage because they've got units which have cavalry counter tactics. So CCT is going to play a huge factor in these guys' effectiveness. They've got access to pike infantry as well, so that's another huge boost to these guys. I believe Massilia doesn't have access to pikes. Yeah, they don't have access to pikes. So going back to Pergamon, these guys have access to pikes. They've got access to pick peltas, again a unit which I highly rate, but besides that they don't have very good skirmishers. Light peltas are just dog shit. Never ever bring them, because even though they have 10 ammunition, that 32 missile damage is terrible. Actually it's okay, but the fact is that they'll get slaughtered by enemy skirmishers because their armor is pretty low. Peltas, on the other hand, I would actually bring peltas over light peltas at this point in the game, but definitely I would bring pick peltas over both these units. And Pergamani's noble cavalry is just beautiful, excellent cavalry. 1200 is quite cheap for an elite tier cavalry, especially a cavalry that has a charge bonus of 76, which is huge. But they are very specialized. They have to be used against infantry, I think. Against I think in general you shouldn't use elite tier shock cavalry solely for anti-cavalry purposes. They'll do a lot better, or they'll be a lot more cost effective if you can get them into the backs of enemy infantry. They do have 45 armor, which is a huge chink in their armor, or their lack of armor, because 45 armor means they'll get slaughtered by cavalry, or get slaughtered by skirmishers. They don't have access to horse archers, but besides that they've got a pretty decent selection in terms of... Actually no, the melee cavalry kind of sucks too. Citizen cav is okay, but the fact that they've got good shock cavalry, they've got access to Tarentines, they've got access to pick peltas and pikes, spears, makes them a better faction in my opinion than Massilia. So Massilia is the weakest faction among all the 4 new factions that we've got, but I think you can make a pretty nice build with them, just in terms of sheer numbers of good, cost-effective infantry, like Axe Warriors, Thorax Swordsmen, Thoria Spears. At least bring 4 to maybe even 6 of these Thoria Spears. Bring a front line of 3 Hoplites. Some Thorax Swordsmen, maybe bring like a couple, and then bring like 4 Axe Warriors, just a couple of Massilian cavalry, a couple of citizen cav, and now we have 10 left. We can probably get a Massilian hoplite with this, so it gives us a pretty sturdy hoplite line. It gives us 6 very deadly javelin units. It gives us a couple of thorax swordsmen, along with pretty stable axe warriors. So I think in this way you can make a pretty decent Massilian build. I mean, this is just something that I freestyled right now, so I'm sure if you guys spend like maybe a minute or so making up your own build, you'll probably get a much better build than that I've made just now. Anyways, guys, that's the end of this battle and this little overview of the new factions, and hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more. Peace.